guys, how goes it? Happy day before Easter. I thought it would be fun to do just a sort of traditional Easter project for my family. I've been making treat boxes or Easter baskets or something for a really long time. So that is basically what we are going to be doing today. I don't know why this. There we go. Now our camera is straighter. Anyway, uh, and I haven't played around with these Sweet Sentiment Sweet Slices dies ever, but the thing that's unique about them, at least from my experience, is that at least this one came with a how to put the thing together guide, which is much appreciated because I feel like that's the thing with some of these, you wind up like having to Google it. So you can see here what we're basically going to do. Essentially, you make a box, and then you make a belly band, and you stick the belly band over the box, and that's how these dies all lay out. So I went and grabbed some pearlescent cardstock, which I think will work really well for the box itself. Yeah, so we'll probably cut it like that way out on our Platinum 6. And then I grabbed this paper from a Spellbinders kit that I think will work well for the belly band. We may not actually need to die cut this, because really it's the whole width of this paper, but we might do it. I mean, I haven't quite decided. Um, if you die cut it, you'll get nice pressed in edges, but anyway. So basically, I grabbed a paper that had a bunch of the Easter colors in this particular paper pad, and then I've got this in green, purple, and, well, I guess grayish purple, gray, and like real purple. So I think that'll all look really good. So I am going to take a break and then come back once those things are die cut, and we can go and assemble this. Alrighty, and we are back. We die cut all three of these successfully. I actually wound up using the die for these guys and then used my trimmer at the end. Some of these belly bands had like an extra white border that I just took off to make them a little more balanced, and I like how those look a lot more. Obviously, you could also ink blend on top of this or do whatever you want to add more character, but I thought the pearlescent cardstock is going to do a pretty good job. So let's look at our instructions and grab our bone folder and see if we can figure this out. And the nice thing is, the dies basically put all the score lines in there, so there's not much really to figure out on that side of the world. These little tabs tuck in, and then the big tab becomes the bottom, essentially. So these you can just fold in, and then basically these go here, and let's just fold that. I don't know that I even really need a bone folder because the die did such a nice job. But basically, so when you're all done, it's basically going to, let me just put a little more scoring. It's going to be about like this with the bottom folded in. So essentially, it's going to go like that and turn into a box. And then we'll take the belly band and wrap it the other way around. So, you know, basically you'll have this. Only more nicely done. So, had a minor mishap with my new glue bottle that doesn't really like its precision tip very well. So the nice thing is it kind of comes off, but basically yeah, so the first step other than die cutting all the things is to basically apply adhesive to these two tabs. So I'm going to be a little careful here and then just sort of rub it around since we are using probably more than we would if we just use a precision tip. So you can basically just, you know, use your finger for that. And then all we really need to do is we'll make these a little straighter for the moment. And then just fold these in and press to adhere them. The good news is this line coat glue grips pretty fast, so this isn't going to be like a huge pain to deal with. and like it was that, and it's gonna stay there now. So that's step one, and then it's suggesting that essentially we put this tab down. Oops, and that wasn't quite even. Basically, put this tab down, put glue around here. I think I'll need a little bit more, but I'm going to just use that one finger as sort of my gluey finger, if that's even a thing. But basically, you just press, and I could have put some glue in here, which I might do. I don't know if you guys may have run into this tip in the past, but if you have scrap paper lying around, like this is just some scrap cardstock I had from cutting out a sentiment, so I'm just going to cut a little strip off of that, and wonder why my cat is really interested in my stamps at the moment. Anyway, so then what you can do is just add a little bit of glue. If you have a piece like this, you're like, gee, it would be great if there was a little glue on there. And just slide it under, and then press and hold, and it'll be fine. And the good news here is basically, here's your box done. As you can see, mine's a little inset, but that's just fine. And then basically what we're going to do is wrap it with the paper. I will grab a baby wipe to get the glue off my finger for the moment while we trying to figure out what we want to do with the paper. And like with all this stuff, you could either liquid adhesive. I think the liquid adhesive, especially like the line coat, does a really nice job with the actual box. When we get here, essentially, all we're really going to do is wrap this around and then sort of pinch it with our fingers to sort of figure out where we want the creases to be, so it wraps a little bit nicer. As you can see, like I'm not doing a whole bunch, I'm just sort of doing a little bit. And then we could use tape or glue or whatever we want. I think I'll continue with the glue. Basically, you really just need to basically just put a little glue. I mean, you could do it however you want, I guess. Like, I would say you more or less just need to glue here, and then we will affix sort of our starting tab. The idea is to, that would have been not great. Almost had that like not lined up with the base. Because you know, depending on if you want these to stand or not. So basically, I'm just going to continue in that vein. Using not a lot of glue here because like this isn't really sticking the box together per se. It's just basically holding the paper on. But the idea is that like the nice side of the paper is up here essentially, and it covers like this whole area that we went and glued already. And if you do what I did and just get some extra glue on places, it's not really a big deal because it's getting covered over with the paper anyway. And if you don't like getting glue on your hands, you know, obviously there are other ways that you could do this. I would say what you want is to sort of make sure this is even, and we might wind up taking off a little smidge here because this is a little not quite even, so. And then the this wraps around the back, but you have a complete piece here essentially. Sorry, you have a complete piece on this, which is sort of like normally you'd sort of display these like this basically. So let's add a little glue here, and then do that. Then we can just go in with our scissors here for a sec, and then we can just even off that edge, which will make the bottom of this look a little weird, obviously. And then we can come back in, because this isn't glued here, and give it a little line of glue there, just to keep everything together. Then we can basically go on the inside to help push. Again, I like this particular glue because it grips quickly, and then if you have anything else here, you are good to go. Just going to push down on the belly band to make sure it's adhered. Also, you could use a dry adhesive here too. I just like that the glue gives you a little more room to work. So that's basically what you have when you're done. And I think we can put the other two together in a similar fashion. Basically, fold in your little tabs, fold over your big tabs, and then fold the back of the box, just like that. And then we're going to fold these down and just put some glue here on the connector tabs. And then if you get a little extra, you can just sort of move it around. Then basically what we want to do is just press and hold these guys, because this forms your sort of initial bond, which helps hold the box together. And then the other two tabs, once we move them out, fold them in, take this glue that was left over, and I'll just put that on this tab and hold it. Whoop, that didn't quite hold. We'll see. We might need a little more glue. Nope, that seems fine. I've been really impressed with the line code generally. It seems to just sort of do a really nice job of gluing things the first time. I'm going to just make sure that is there, and then fold this down. And this is kind of the time when you can figure out if you think your box is square. This is feeling much better than the first box. I'll show you as soon as this glue is done. So like this just tends to stay up a little bit more. And what you could do is just sort of center you could glue the nice piece on first and just sort of center it this way, which I think I may try doing, because the last time I started from the back, but really you can do it however it's most comfortable for you. So let's just add glue here, because this is what's going to basically stick our paper down, and then just sort of make sure that we're mostly center. As you saw from before, you wind up with some room to work on, but sort of since this is the pretty side, this is the side you might want to be a little more careful on. And then what you can do is just crease down on both of the corners. If you were actually working with more of a pattern paper, this is Spellbinder's paper, which is a lot more paper than cardstock. But if you were working with beefier pattern paper, like a Cat Scrappiness, for example, you might want to actually score the pattern paper. But since this is more papery, it's pretty straightforward to put together. And you can always put a finger on the inside to sort of help push up to make sure that that bond adheres. And then sort of fold this however it makes most sense. Again, we sort of are left with this extra tag here that we're probably going to wind up trimming. So I'm just going to put a little bit of glue here, move it around. I would say tend to be more worried about if the pattern looks good or not, as opposed to the exact dynamics of if the bottom of the cut here. And then I'm going to learn from last time and make sure we have glue on top of the pattern paper and here, and then we will just push this guy. And it's just that simple to pull these together. I don't know. I'm liking that these are, after doing one of these, it requires not a lot of thought, and I feel like these would be really nice for mass production as well. There we go. Just sort of cut off anything, and then be careful about getting glue all over my scissors, which, I don't know. I'm very tempted to just get sets of scissors that are, like, more glue safe. Well, I guess none of them are glue safe, but have, like, a dedicated, like, pair of, probably, like, the Tim Holtz 10-inch scissors that's just dedicated to stuff that has glue on it. And then once your glue's in place, you can just go back with the corners. And here we go. Box number 1 and box number 2. I'm really liking the pattern. I don't know which I like better. I like the purple because it's sort of a contrast with the pastels a little bit, but I do like this sort of light color, and I like the gray as well, just from the standpoint of being kind of within the same color palette. So we'll do the last one of these, and then we're good to go. And I am just a really big fan of having the instructions, because I feel like that saved me a lot of time. Because I don't know, I've had experiences with dies where you like put them together wrong the first time, and then kind of wind up screwing up your die. Well, not really your die, but kind of screwing up the installation process to the extent you have to sort of wind up recutting things, which is fine. I mean, like, you know. And again, I'm just holding this. If you wanted to do it in a, there are other ways you could do this if you wanted to. Obviously, like you could use like an actual rectangular object of some sort to help hold this together. Although this is fairly narrow, so you'd kind of have to figure that out. But and really, as soon as these catch in here, I think we're fine. And I'm going to just squeeze this guy. I will bring him down first. Or her, I guess. I don't know if Easter boxes have a preference in their pronouns, but anyway. The nice thing about this glue is sort of as soon as it adheres, you're good to go. It's not obviously like permanently adhered, so at that point you could still sort of pull it apart if you had to. But it's really nice for assembly that you don't have to like hold forever. And now, like this is sort of the point where you have some play in terms of whether or not your box is square. So this point's a good point to be aware of. And then we're pretty much good to go. And we will just repeat with the belly band, essentially. So I am going to, and I'll just show you, like if you, I guess this is pretty, it sort of stands up. And the idea, I mean, I guess I don't know what these were actually built for, but like I like these because, I don't know, I feel like as people in my family have gotten older, it's like not everybody wants like a complete ton of Easter candy, so it's just sort of nice to have like a taste of it without, you know, necessarily having a whole Easter basket full. So I am just going to get this, and this is actually what they tell you to do. So, which is essentially to worry about the nice side first, and then the rest of it, you know, you have a little bit of play with, because basically the side that I am currently working on is sort of the side that gets hidden at the end when you know, essentially when you display them like this. I'm just pressing, and then we just figure out which tab we want to pull in. You can see this one, again, is a little bit slightly crooked, so I'll just move that around a little bit so it's a little more square. And then we can trim at the end like we did the other times. So I'm just going to try and get the pattern as square as I can, and just if you have excess glue, we can just sort of wipe it off. Then we'll do glue on both bits here. And if we can, of course, get the pattern as aligned as we can, that is awesome, because you don't necessarily know what side you'll be looking at, but basically you will likely be looking at the front, because that is both the decorative side and sort of when it's standing up, the piece you would see. So we will just trim off that little extra bit like that. We are pretty much all together at this point. We get some glue off my hands and just show you what the final products look like. And yeah, I can see how these would be great as sort of, they're either great as sort of standalone things. I mean, I'm trying to think if I have anything. So if I grab one of these squeegees, it's roughly the same width as like a Ghirardelli square, so you can see how like that would sort of fit in. Or of course jelly beans or chocolate eggs or whatever you're in the mood for, of course, with the Easter holiday. But that's how you make these. And once again, big fan of the instructions, but there are a bunch of these standalone dies that make different kind of boxes. So feel free to check them out, because they're over at Sweet Sentiment Stamps or Artful Angel, which is where I got mine. Anyway, talk to you guys later. Bye-bye. And I hope everyone has a happy Easter.